Hello everyone. Here the focus will be made on the general statement of Judy Mikovits, where she says that viruses rarely, if at all, travel alone. And she also mentioned that we Earthlings are not supposed to know about this and why that is. What does it mean, viruses rarely travel alone? Viruses, as we know them, are not just, or most often, not just one single virus. They are a combination of viruses, pathogens, or pathogenic agents. We will take three examples here. We will take HIV, we will take XMRV, and we will take SARS-CoV-2. HIV does not cause disease. It does not cause AIDS. HIV plus one of the 30 disease-causing factors, disease-causing agents or other pathogens that is, causes this immunodeficiency disease, which is a statement that is also confirmed by the CDC. So, for this reason, you have HIV-1, HIV-2, and there's probably others. They're all a different set of multiple pathogens or two pathogens. Now, I will go into the point why that is a problem, that there are more than one pathogen at the same time. But first we will take a look at XMRVs. XMRVs is not XMRV. It is also a multiple set of pathogens or pathogenic agents, viruses, that are responsible for the immune system to fail. Now, this is not really known, but is very important because also will be mentioned here in this talk that when we determine that there are different factors to a virus, to what we publicly call a virus, we can better target with medicine. We can better identify the different particles to understand how they cause disease, because every pathogenic factor, every pathogenic agent from what we call a virus has its own pathway to bypass and trick the immune system. This means that because there is a diversity of tactics to attack the immune system gets confused and it then loses the battle, whereas where there is just one virus particle, for example just HIV, it doesn't necessarily result in deadly disease. It does not, because it can handle, there is a, how you call it so beautifully, homeostatic equilibrium in your system. And it is only by multiple pathogens or just two that gets out of balance. Now, when we go over to the SARS-CoV-2 pathogen, which is also a multi-pathogenic agent, which was already confirmed a few months ago by the higher scientific community FIGU in Switzerland, which concerns itself with border science, which says, it does not say, I'm gonna try to explain how such a SARS-CoV-2 pathogen could be multi-pathogenic. Now, a virus also contains a outer protein layer, This autoprotein layer is a result from the cell line on which it is grown, and this cell line comes from a foreign living organism, for example a human or an animal. Within this human or animal there exist endogenous viruses which are harmless to them, and when they are transplanted or infected to the receiver, they can become pathogenic in them. Now, you can think, and also I want to add here that, for example, vaccines are grown on foreign cell lines too. There's also whatever is in the vaccine. Also, these additionally pathogenic agents are transmitted when injected, all adding to this viral, all giving greater risk to combining, recombining and forming disease, immunodeficiency diseases. Now, what is so important here is that if we see these three diseases individually and we now take them all together, they can form even a bigger multi-pathogenic effect on the system. And exactly this text here, which we will not go into, just a few highlights, is what this is about. It is called The War and Peace Between Microbes. And here we see that there are predominantly bad factors with this accumulation of pathogenic agents, viruses, pathogens. So, importantly, HIV-1 disrupts the homeostatic equilibrium between the host and co-infecting microbes, which facilitate reactivation of persistent viruses and invasion by new viruses. So yes, when you have such a dinosaur like an HIV element there, you're also gonna trigger these already existing viruses, which were usually no problem for you, and they might have been part of the virome maybe, and so was not really a big problem, not disease causing. Nevertheless, is always a weight to the immune system, because we will see that even asymptomatic existing pathogens like viral particles, etc., in the human body are not unharmful to the immune system, because when you get this dinosaur then, like an HIV, or you get an XMRV with it, or you get SARS-CoV-2 in a permanent way, you're already imperceptibly tired immune system gets that also. Now we're gonna go further. Why would we not be allowed to know about this? Is, of course, if you have an HIV, you want to find out then what particles does your HIV contain of. And when there is a XMRV which is suppressed, we're also directly there with our question, now what exact pathogenic factors, agents, viruses does it contain of? Can we detect them? Can we navigate their strategy, how they trick the immune system, and use this to find good medicine? So, if you have a pandemic then, which works together with all these microbes which might already be there, perceptibly or not, then you can easily track a population and say it's nothing is going on, it's just a coronavirus, it's just a common cold, so don't worry about that. It's just a few older people that die from it. And people believe this because from a cough you don't die if you're not 80 years old with a weak immune system, no problem. So people also react like this. But when you take a look to the multipathogenic nature of this coronavirus, which is not really a coronavirus, the medical data, the clinical data does not support that. We see different symptoms which are not due to normal coronavirus. Then people would start to search for immunosuppressants before the pandemic can break out and get ubiquitous. So yes, we may not know about this multipathogenesis. Understanding these phenomena may lead to anti-HIV strategies that specifically target interactions between HIV and co-infecting viruses. That is the point indeed. And this we want to know before we get such a thing, so we can suppress the expression of a virus or a group of pathogenic agents, if you will, and prevent disease from breaking out. Introduction to human body as a battlefield of microbes. Human pathogens often become less pathogenic with time. Yes, well, I thought I was reading that they become more pathogenic. We can of course say that when a virus goes back dormant, this is because the immune system found ways to silence the expression, and this can usually be done by a healthy system. HIV-1, a virus that never comes alone. The association of HIV-1 disease with other viral diseases is explained by immunodeficiency. So the more pathogenic factors there are in your system, the sooner this may lead to immunodeficiency. However, such an account is too general and does not explain why viral reactivation or new infections sometimes occur before signs of major immunodeficiency. I think this says that you may have viruses which might be on their own and they also become activated, however. And there are other new infections that come in even before a major immunodeficiency comes about. HIV-1 co-infecting viruses contribute to immunodeficiency. So here it says that, let's take us an example here. We have HIV or we have XMRVs, and we have co-infecting viruses like SARS-CoV-2. SARS-CoV-2 is not a thing that you get infected by one time in your life and drop to the floor or fall dead. No, that's not how it works. SARS-CoV-2 you may catch daily. If you go daily to the shop, you can daily catch this virus, and this may contribute if there are already latent or symptomatic viruses in your system. So you get a war of microbes in your system there. Importantly, your system exists out of a viral, already existing viruses in your system, a microbiome, which would be your DNA system, this and that, which also contains of 15% of these viral particles which are latent, dormant. They are dormant. They cause no harm to the system, to the person. But once they get ensembled, collected, recombined with these foreign elements, virus particles, pathogenic agents, viruses. They may become active and cause immune problems or immunodeficiency diseases. Importantly, SARS-CoV-2 is a multiple infecting pathogen, so it's everywhere. You can catch a little bit here, a little bit there, and that is a problem because if there is an underlying immune system problem, which we do expect is all and overall, we see lots of HIV, we see lots of XMRVs according to calculation, and studying the different properties of this XMRV virus, group virus family, we see that it might be well spread all over the world, and we can speak of an underlying pandemic together with the SARS-CoV-2 pandemic. But why there is no spoke about this underlying pandemic? Because you have asymptomatically or symptomatically this XMRV virus there, but most people are asymptomatic. This also means that this virus there can be spread by the breed of persons, also by sexual contact like HIVs. But XMRVs are more widespread than than HIVs. It's more dangerous also. So even if you have an asymptomatic XMRV infection, it is a problem for your immune system, even if you are not perceptible, even if you're not perceiving it. It can become tired without you knowing it, but it can also be a waiting point for whenever another pathogen enters the system. Now this XMRV becomes a problem, certainly in view of the fact that the SARS-CoV-2 pathogen is a multi-pathogen pathogen. Newly invading viruses, including those that have been acquired due to high-risk behavior, may also contribute to immunodeficiency by signaling interferences, effector modulation, or continuous viral genetic variation. And here is necessary to once more come back to the SARS-CoV-2 pathogen, because it can also have a permanent effect of nature. For example, you live together in the same building with a person who is highly infected. In my opinion, it is a laboratorium safety level 4 pathogen. You can never be really containing it in this building. So you will always have this permanent infection there. And when you have a permanent infection, even with a latent XMRV virus, even if you take immunosuppressants, nothing is stronger than a constant infection. Even if you cure your HIV with success, in my opinion, even with certainty, if you medicate your XMRV infection with success, the constant attack of this dinosaur, this SARS-CoV-2, because it's everywhere, and if you are in your home, and you have infected people in the home, you sleep with a constant infection the whole night, for example. And that is a very big problem, because the infection is constant and everything breaks over time with that effect. So let us return to the high-risk behavior. We can have sexual contact. We can have being victims of abuse. We can be having addiction. We can have environmental influences. and they may always also contribute to the immunodeficiency by signaling interference. So this will be the interaction probably inside of the multiplicity of factors. Effector modulation, so the combining of the whole may cause different modulations there and become more complex and more dangerous, and even continuous genetic variation, viral genetic variation. So yes, if you have a constant new exposure to infection, you may constantly having new variation, mutations, and that is very dangerous because the immune system always has to be newly adjusting itself to the incoming dangers and internal dangers. HIV co-infecting viruses contribute to immunoactivation. So this is also true for XMRV. Co-infecting viruses contribute to immunoactivation. We have explained this here. We have XMRV, we constantly get infected by SARS-CoV-2, and so you have a contribution to the immunoactivation. Very important. In HIV-1 infected patients, constant attempts of the host to suppress previously controlled and newly invading viruses, as well as HIV itself, lead to chronic cell immunoactivation. And this is exactly what we are seeing. Many people have HIV, many have XMRVs. We have this constant or multiple infection nature of this pathogen there, this SARS-CoV-2, and all these together are also the already existing viruses in the system. They will tire the immune system and cause chronic cell immunoactivation. Such immunoactivation damages the immune system by multiple mechanisms, including a reduced capacity to generate responses to antigens. Immune cell activation leads to an increase of viral replication due to expansion of the number of HIV cell targets, and this is also the case in my opinion with XMRV. So if you have come so far that you have this constantly reinfecting which causes this immune cell activation there, it's not good, then it increases the already existing XMRV, the already existing HIV, which is of course no good. Even if you take immunosuppressants, the immune system gets slammed from here to there. It is a big problem, and it is all just called SARS-CoV-2. Not in case of HIV, but I see that HIV patients, which I know a few of, they have no really problems, but that is not the case with the XMRV problem in combination with SARS-CoV-2. HIV suppression by co-infecting viruses, the paradox of a complex system imbalance. So we have spoken of the war of the microbes now, the negative side of it. There is also a positive side. In particular, acute MV infection decreases the HIV-1 plasma load in co-infected children. Also, similarly, a decrease of HIV-1 plasma RNA was reported in a case of acute dengue fever virus infection. So we see in this complex system of immune system, virome and microbiome that it is possible to find ways back, but it is also probably better to stay away from it and have as less infection as possible. I want to add to this that people with an immunodeficiency problem or immunodeficiency disease must be very careful